Hi all, welcome to the third part in this series on how to create your very own text editor in Go programming language. So we start just right from the previous tutorial, and this time we'll implement the function to read data from the file and populate the internal text buffer with that data so that we can actually open some file and see its content. So without further ado, let's get started. So just right above the function display text buffer and below the definition of the text buffer itself, I want to create a new function. So here I create a function called read file, and it takes the file name string as an argument. So the file itself, the error variable to catch any errors if available, and I say os.open and file name as an argument here. So if something goes wrong, we can simply say if error is not equal to nil. In this case, we want to do several things. So first, the source file is going to be equal the file name. The idea behind this is very simple. So say user specifies the command line argument to the Ego text editor. So if that file exists, it just opens the file. If it doesn't exist, we want to create a new file with the file name provided by the user. So this simplifies the interaction with the editor, so you don't have, remember, too many options to consider. And then we just say text buffer equals to, we want to append a single empty row to the text buffer. So point it to the text buffer here and run and the empty line. So this is the representation just for the empty line. And then we want to return. So we're no longer reading if the file doesn't actually exist. Then we need to make sure that the file would get closed. So say defer file.close. Okay. And then we want to create a scanner to read the file. So I create the scanner variable and assign the value of buff.io.newScanner and file descriptor as an argument. And also we need to import buff.io here, import buff.io, don't forget that as well. So next is we define a line number, which is the variable holding the number of lines available within the file, so sort of a counter, so line number, and assign the value of 0 to it. Now we do a loop, so for scanner.scan, and here create a new variable called line and assign the value scanner.text. So we literally read the next line from the file. And here we want to say text buffer equals to append, and before initializing the text buffer row, we need first to append it, just like we did in case if the file name doesn't exist. So here text buffer and the empty line, the empty slice of rows here. And then after these we do for I is equal to 0, I is less than the length of the line, and I plus plus. We probably could have do this with a scanner as well. I just don't quite remember how to do this, but this is more straightforward way to extract character by character from the line. So we can simply say text buffer here and indexed by the line number is going to be equal to append. So now we append character by character to the line. So text buffer indexed by the line number and want to append rune line indexed by I. And after these, we increment the line number. So line number plus plus. Now it might happen that the line number would be equal to 0, which happens in case if we open absolutely empty file. So in order to avoid error of not having appended anything to the buffer, so that we can't like type any characters in, we need to do the same as we did earlier, just to add the empty string, empty row here. So we can say if line number is equal to 0, in this case text buffer equals append text buffer and the empty line of runes. That's it. Okay, now let's go down below here. So before our main loop, what we do here, we want to check if any command line arguments are available. So to do this, we'd say if the len of os.args is greater than 1, so the first argument is, like we all know, the name of the file that we're now running, and then some potential arguments might be there. So if there is more than 1, this means that there might be like the file name followed. So in this case, we can say source file equals os.args indexed by 1. So if there is an argument available where we're expecting to have the file name, we initialize the source file variable with this. And just right after that, we can say read file and the source file. Pretty simple and straightforward. So what happens otherwise? So we can say else. So if there are no arguments, this means that we need to start a new empty file. So in this case, let's say source file is equal to just simply out.txt. So that would be the file name, the default file name the editor would be creating and storing if asked to do so. And again, in this case, one more time, we need to make sure that there is at least one empty row. So in the buffer, text buffer equals append text buffer and the slice of runes here. And yeah, that's pretty much all about it. So if I did everything properly, it should now compile and run. So let's quickly check that out. So right, quit, and my almighty build shell script. Let's have a look. Okay, undefined source file, undefined runes, so many errors. 22, let's go there. 22, I just forgot to define the source file, yeah, obviously. So let's define source file. That would be a string, yeah. And try again. Undefined runes at 40. Let's have a look. 40. Oh, runes. Rune, obviously. Okay. So now this should work, hopefully. Okay, and I say, so first let's kickstart with just say ego. So we still have our hello world, so nothing has changed, but there is actually one thing that has changed. So one additional line has been added there, which is a good sign. So let's get rid of these initializations. So say we start, let's just build again. So say we start without any arguments. So in this case, it should just create a new file and one empty line. So if this wasn't if there was no empty line, then there would be an asterisk there. It's not there. That means there is an empty line being appended to the buffer, which is good news. And now let's say ego, and let's see the source file itself. So here we can already see the source file of the text editor we're writing. We can't yet scroll here, but that's not a big deal. We would implement this quite soon. Okay, great. So we don't yet display the current file name. So if I just print something that doesn't exist, that won't display the file name. So test this later. And now, last but not least thing to consider is try exactly the same but for Windows. So I just want to call wine task mgr task manager, and here call cmd, and here I want to say ego.executable to see what's there. Okay, same behavior, so far so good. Ego.exe and e.go to see its own source file. And we do indeed see the source file, which is absolutely fantastic. So yeah guys, this is it from my side in regards to this part, and see you in the next one.